So, Eurovision just imploded. By the way, I'm back. But listen, this is not like this fun. The stage is literally on fire, kind of imploding, but more of a multiple countries are walking out of the door, and the whole thing might just be fundamentally be broken kind of way. And yesterday, December 4th, the European Broadcasting Union held what might go down as the most consequential and messiest General Assembly in Eurovision history, and spoiler alert, it did not go well. Let's talk Eurovision. Hey everyone, it is Matt with ESC United. Not the first video I wanted to do, but here we are. I took some time off Eurovision because I need that, especially after recent events, and I'm sick anyway, but I'm here to talk this through, and we're going to have a lot of fun. But first, let's talk about what happened yesterday, and for those who need a quick catch-up. Israel's participation in Eurovision has been controversial for the past 2 years. We all know why. And there have been massive protests outside the venues, both in 24 in Malmö and 25 in Basel, Switzerland. And several countries have been threatening to boycott if Israel is allowed to compete in Vienna next May. And the EBU has been, let's say, feeling the pressure a little bit, but they scheduled this big meeting in Geneva to address it. They proposed new rule changes, which we'll get to. And the plan was, if the rules aren't enough to satisfy everyone, then maybe we can hold a vote whether Israel can participate. That was the plan. Members would decide. Democracy, right? Yay. Except that is not what happened. The EBU, they put a rule change to a vote. As discussed, we're going to go over them. The rules passed. They said, great, no need for a vote on Israel's participation then. Israel is in, moving on. It was interesting the way it was phrased as well, because the vote was yes, satisfied with changes, and no vote required on ESC participation, or no, not satisfied with changes and wish to vote on ESC participation. So combining those two different topics, which seems phrasing, if you will. And within hours, 4 countries announced they are out. The Netherlands, Spain, Ireland, and Slovenia. Now, let me emphasize, Spain is one of the big 5 countries. That's Spain, France, Germany, Italy, and the UK. The 5 countries that bankroll the entire operation, basically, or at least a big chunk of it. They're the ones who contribute the most money and automatically qualify for the grand final every single year. Now, Spain leaving is not just losing a competitor, it's also losing a major financial pillar. And this is the first time that Spain is going to miss the contest since they joined the contest back in 1961. Let that sink in. And then Ireland, 7-time winners, tied with Sweden for the most wins in Eurovision history. And these aren't minor players that we're talking about. These are Eurovision royalty. Here is where it gets rich. And the EBU has spent the last 2 years telling us over and over that Eurovision is not political. It's about music, it's about unity, and it's a cultural event and not a governmental one. So, EBU president, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Delphine Ernaud-Kunci, something like that, stood up after this vote and said these rules change ensure Eurovision remains a place for unity and cultural exchange. And then the director, Martin Green, has repeatedly emphasized that the neutrality and integrity of the Eurovision Song Contest is of paramount importance. So the official line, governments don't participate in Eurovision, broadcasters do, so leave politics at the door. Cool. Great. Love that energy. I'm here for it. Except the news broke, because it always does. And according to news from Israeli media, specifically Ynet, Israel just didn't show up at the meeting and then was hoping for the best. Israel mounted an intensive month-long diplomatic campaign to secure their spot in the contest. And I'm not talking about Khan, the Israeli broadcaster, making a few phone calls. I'm like, hey, vote for us. I'm talking about like the Khan's CEO and his attorneys leading the delegation. The president, Isaac Herzog, yes, the president of Israel, creating a dedicated team at his residence to coordinate diplomatic outreach, and Herzog personally lobbying international partners to oppose a vote on Israel's removal. And let me say that again. The president of Israel formed a special team to lobby Eurovision members. But remember, this isn't political. Governments aren't involved. This is just about music. So, let me get this straight. The EBU's position is that the Eurovision Song Contest must remain apolitical, and it's broadcasters competing and not governments. But when Israel's president is running a diplomatic operation to influence the outcome, isn't that political? When the Israeli government advertising agency is spending a lot of money on targeted Google and YouTube ads, which they did in 25 and apparently in 24, reaching millions of views and dozens of countries, isn't that political? But when Spain, Ireland, Slovenia, the Netherlands, they say we can't justify all of this, suddenly they are the ones politicizing it, make it make sense. But before we move on, I would need to talk about these new rules that actually are now implemented, because they're clearly aimed at addressing something. So the EBU introduced several changes. First, they're cutting public votes in half. You used to be able to vote 20 times per device, now it's only 10 times, or by payment method. They say this is to prevent coordinated voting activity. Second, juries are coming back to the semifinals for the first time since 22, and not just any juries. They're expanding them from 5 members to 7, and that at least 2 of those jurors must be between the age 18 to 25. The idea here is apparently to make the juries more representative. And then third, they're explicitly banning acts and broadcasters from actively engaging in facilitating or contributing to promotional campaigns by third parties. Read government-backed campaigns. Now, finally, they're partnering with their voting company to beef up security systems that detect fraudulent or coordinated voting patterns. Now, the EBU didn't mention Israel by name when announcing these rules, but come on, Shelley. We all know what they're responding to. And Israel has dominated the public vote for the past 2 years randomly, second place in 24, then almost also winning first place, a clear first place in 25, and the persistence, allegations of organized voting campaigns and government involvement, which we talked about earlier as well. Now, when the EBU rolls out rules specifically targeting government-backed promotional campaigns and coordinated voting, yeah, they're not exactly being subtle about who this is aimed at, as said. But here's one thing. These rules passed. Israel is still in. Maybe because of that, and not half, but several countries are actually walking away. So, is that to them mission accomplished? Look, I'm gonna make clear where I stand on this issue. I think the EBU made the wrong call. Not because I don't think Israel should ever be allowed to compete. No, that's not it. But because the way this was handled, because I believe it was very inconsistent. You don't get to spend 2 years saying, we're neutral, we're apolitical, governments aren't involved, and then allow a head of state to run a lobbying campaign while you cancel the vote you promised your members or said that was scheduled at some point. You don't get to tout unity through music, while the contest features and multiple countries walk out. Spain, Ireland, the Netherlands, Slovenia didn't make this decision lightly. These are countries that love Eurovision. Did I mention that Spain has been in the contest since 1961? Did I mention that Ireland won 7 times? The Netherlands has been a cornerstone of the contest for decades as well. For them to walk away, come on, that tells you how serious they are. Well, we've got 4 confirmed withdrawals, right? Several other countries are still on the fence too, though. Belgium? That's an interesting situation and the position that they're in, because they have 2 broadcasters, RTBF, the French language one, and VRT, the Flemish one. They take turns every year in terms of who gets to create, set up that particular year at the contest. And VRT has publicly supported the withdrawal. However, RTBF is the broadcaster that is in charge this year, and they announced a decision in the coming days on this. And on top of it, Belgium has already selected their artist for 26, so it's kind of a big deal. They're preparing to go, but they might not. Oh, I don't want to be in their shoes right now. Now, Iceland also threatened to boycott if Israel competed. Their broadcaster said that they'd make a decision after the General Assembly. On the other side, other countries announced that they would be taking part. I'm talking about Finland and Norway and Portugal. They now confirmed they are participating. Afterwards, I think the rule change in the rules convinced them to actually return, but they waited until today as well. Austria, the host country, by the way, supports strongly Israel's participation, though hilariously or ironically, Austria's winner, JJ, who brought the contest to Vienna in the first place, said he finds Israel's participation disappointing. Now, the final list of countries will be announced by Christmas, we're told, so we got a few more weeks of this uncertainty, I guess. And look, I need to be honest with y'all for just a second. I've been covering Eurovision for 14 years now. 14 years! 1, 2, that's a lot. Now, I've watched this contest through every controversy, every scandal, every weird staging decision, and there are plenty of them. And I'm generally struggling what to do with next year myself. And I'm sitting here making a video about Eurovision 26, analyzing the politics now, breaking down the drama, and I don't know if I'm actually going to Vienna at this point. I don't know if I can or if I want to. And before I go any further, I want to be absolutely clear about something, because people seem to conflate these two things. This is not about the Israeli people. The Israeli people are not to be blamed here. This is about the governments, and Israeli government in particular here, and the decisions that they have made. And Israel has sent some favorites, my all-time favorites, to the contest. The music, the artist, the passion. Look, that's real, and I have nothing but respect for that. If anyone is out there that actually is painting a broad brush about the entire group based on the actions of the government, you're part of the problem too. Full stop. That being said, this is about how the EBU handled this situation. And this is about consistency, transparency, and whether the organization actually can live up to its values it claims to represent. And honestly, I'm also not sitting here claiming I have all the answers for you. I fully understand this is complicated. It's easy for me to sit here at my desk and say what the EBU should have done, what they shouldn't have done, what they should have done differently. All of these things. They're dealing with the impossible political pressures from all sides, major financial contributors threatening to walk the opposite directions, and 70 years of tradition hanging in the balance here. I get that. But still, I don't think this was the right call. And I want to be clear. If you watch the contest, and if you engage with it, if it brings joy in the world that frankly sucks enough already right now, don't ever let anyone take that joy away from you. Don't let anyone shame you for finding something to be excited about. But for me personally, right now, I'm not sure I can just show up and pretend everything is fine. I genuinely cannot wrap my head around is that the EBU is apparently okay with this, with the outcome. They're okay with Spain leaving. They're okay with Ireland leaving. They're okay with the Netherlands and Slovenia walking out. They're potentially okay with Belgium and Iceland following suit. And these aren't small countries throwing a tantrum, as I said. These are foundational members of Eurovision. Did I mention that Spain has been here since 1961? And did I mention that Ireland has won 7 times? It bears repeating. And the EBU looked at the situation and was like, yeah, we'll take that loss. I mean, really? You're willing to fracture the entire contest, the thing you spent 70 years building, rather than hold the vote you said you would? The contest, whose slogan is United by Music right now, is actively fracturing right now. And the EBU's response is basically, nothing to see here, folks. Everything is fine, just some minor technical difficulties. Now look over there! It's not fine. This is a crisis, and pretending it isn't it doesn't make it go away. Look, here's the thing. Eurovision isn't dead. It's just in a coma. And I know the instinct is to throw the whole thing away. Believe me, I get it. I've been having that instinct myself for quite some time now. But writing Eurovision off completely, it's not the answer either, I'm telling you. This contest has been around since 1956. It rose like a phoenix out of the ashes of World War II and a continent that had just torn itself apart, coming together and celebrate music and culture. It's beautiful. We want to keep this alive and enjoy our 3 minutes of pop music. It's not just pop, I get it, but you get my point. But now it is causing this exact kind of political fractures it was designed to heal. That's what makes it so painful to me. Eurovision was supposed to be the thing that brought us together, despite our politics, and instead it's becoming a battlefield for those very same political divisions. And I understand it's a difficult situation to begin with, but if you're upset about this, and honestly, you probably should be, speak up. Let your national broadcaster know, send them an email, make some noise. These organizations respond to public pressure. And right now, they need to hear that a lot of people aren't okay with how this was handled. Eurovision has survived a lot over the years, right? It survived the Cold War. It survived the Iraq War controversy. It survived multiple voting scandals. Hell, it survived whatever was happening with the staging in 2010. Oh, that stage was horrible. But it can survive this too. I'm telling you, but that doesn't mean we should just accept it and move on. The EBU, they made the choice. Now we get to make ours. And as we know, Vienna is scheduled for May 12, 14, and 16th. And the Wiener Stadthalle, 16,000 people. Hopefully all the seats will be taken. The question is, how many countries will show up? I know this was a heavy topic and nobody wants to talk about it, but this is just the world we live in right now. And I will not just only talk about this, but I will talk about Eurovision going forward. And I am back. And whatever your opinion is, please let me know below. I'm trying to be as respectful as humanly possible. I know some people will be upset regardless, but at least you know where I stand and where I'm coming from. I'd like to think I was very respectful towards the EBU and everything that's been going on, because I know it's not an easy thing to do. At the same time, I think it is also fair to criticize their actions and how they handled the situation. That's part of freedom of speech and freedom of press, right? Now leave your thoughts below in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and I will be back with my next video very soon.